We are live, Instagram. Welcome back. Doing Q&As. Oh, hold on. Let me put the thing in here. Ask us your questions. Ask us your questions. Ask us your questions. Welcome, 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 welcome. We're doing it. Wait, did I pin the right one? I did pin the right one. All right. Where's my co-host? Where's Jeremy? There he is in the house. All right, we're bringing him in. We're bringing in Jeremy. Ask us questions. Put it down below. We'll do our best to give you some value today.
All right.
He's back. So listen. So when Mark was my co-host on Monday, and he only joined for two of the three because he had to feed his kids or something.
Mm-hmm. Priorities.
Right. So, but it's fine. So I won both of the games. Yesterday I was with Alex, and I won one and lost two. And today's Jeremy Day, and I've won one. So we'll see how the night goes. I'm very curious to see the impact of my co-host on my performance in the game.
The J curve.
The J curve. Yeah. Well, if you're saying it now, hello.
I should have never brought it up.
Right. All right.
Hey,
so
Tony,
how
man.
this works? You ask questions. Jeremy picks them. He answers them. I answer them. Move on to the next question. So pop it down in the chat, and we'll do our best to get going.
Mark's saying he was 100% win rate.
Yes. Alina Cardone in the house. Welcome aboard, Alina. I was actually just thinking about you today. I think I sent you an email today. I sent you an email today, Alina, if you check. Yeah, Mark was only in for two out of the three. So Mark was in for two. We won both of them. Alex was 1 and 3, so we'll see. We'll see how we do.
All right, we got our first question. Do I need to have an ISBN numbers too for publication when a book is international?
If you want it listed, like if you're going to upload it to Amazon through CreateSpace, then you need to have the ISBN numbers. Canada, you get them for free, which is awesome. US, you gotta buy them. If they're still that expensive, you could buy a block of 10, and then when you upload, like I don't think they'll even let you upload a book without having an ISBN. If you just want to say you have your own book and print it yourself and ship it yourself, awesome. But if you want it to be on Amazon, you need an ISBN.
Do you think people will still use publishers in like 10 years from now? Or do you think it will all be gone by then?
No, I think so. It's not dying that quickly. The book sales are actually increasing. Book sales were declining.
But isn't that because of YouTube and podcast and everyone doing the self-promotion? Not even them doing it.
Oh yeah. No. It's only a way to create a book and to edit it. They're great editors, not marketing. Like the ability for a publisher to market your book is brutal.
Do they get more money than back then because of that, or?
So if you're an established author, it's easier to get a deal. If you're just starting up, then you usually don't get an advance. I mean, I got an advance for my book, my first book, but that's rare. You have to have a really sizable audience to make it worth it for them. They got to think, hey, this person's going to market it and sell a lot of books. But the mechanism, there's still a lot of people who want to have a book and get in the bookstores. Like there's still just the ego play of saying, hey, look at me, I'm in a bookstore. There's still the ego play of having a Wall Street Journal or New York Times, book. So as long as that's there, we're still going to have books. And people love learning through books, right? So it's a great model for a lot of people. And the ability to print books and to have the distribution is something that some people don't want to deal with. And so they go with the publisher.
Is your new book out yet?
No, but it's a good chance to show it on camera. Built to serve. There it is. Jeremy has a copy. Actually, Jeremy has one of the first two copies that got given away to people because he was here the day, he was at my place the day that they came in. But no, March 17th. So, but it's coming this Tuesday. This coming Tuesday it's up.
Exciting.
Yeah, Mark Drager saying pre-order Evan's book right now. That's it. Go get it. You get a signed version plus a whole bunch of bonuses. Come on down.
So we have a question from Danny Hatcher. For YouTube, how does fair use work with thumbnails and using video from other channels? So I was also curious in terms of to adding to his, like, so what channels do you make sure when pulling views from YouTube that are no's?
Okay, so thumbnails, almost nothing. Like, I've never had any issue with a thumbnail. Nobody's ever caused a fuss over a thumbnail. It's also because you look at like Instagram and just everybody's just ripping off all sorts of stuff. So I mean, somebody could do a cease and desist, take this down. I've never seen that happen over a picture on a thumbnail or even a picture inside a video. It's never happened to me. 6,000 videos. I've never heard of it happening to somebody else, at least in the entrepreneur thought leader space. So it's super rare if it happens. For video content, it gets split into two camps. One camp is the big companies. So think CNN and ABC and Fox and like networks. And they can't issue you a strike, but they can block the video. They can monetize the video. They could do limited monetization, like blocking in some countries. They could just track the video and watch it. So they're given a bunch of options to potentially monetize or block it, but they can't strike it. Smaller channels can't do that. They can't monetize it, but they can strike your channel. And that's any other creator, right? And so if you're using content from a giant company, expect it to either just not get monetized or to get blocked, or maybe it gets through, but for the most part, they have a system in place to monetize or block. For a smaller creator, an individual, then it's just making an arrangement with them so that they see what you're doing as net positive. Now, is it actually fair use? Sure. But are you going to go fight it? YouTube's not going to decide what's fair use. So you could make a video doing commentary on a Trump speech. Whoever owns that Trump speech can decide what to do with that video. Even if it's 2 minutes of Trump talking and you then talking for 18 minutes doing a breakdown of it, they could block it, they could strike you, and you can fight it and just say, hey, I think you made a mistake, but it's still up to them to drop it. Otherwise, you would have to go to court. YouTube doesn't make the final decision over fair use. You might have a case. Some of them have been overturned. But for the most part, you don't want to go to court. Right? So to be super safe, it's using clips from people who you know aren't going to come after you and cause a problem.
All right. Got another question. Is it common for investors to stay with a company forever, earning their equity earnings off of profits? So, I don't know. It depends what you're investing in, I guess. Like well, I mean, like common for investors, probably not, because most investors, depending where you're looking at it, like if you go to like stock market, people are in and out. Wall Street, mutual funds, they're just in and out. They don't really look at companies. They're just looking at stocks and numbers. But if you're looking at like the world's best investors, like Warren Buffett has owned American Express for like 40 years. So staying with a company a great company that has, management, your values, integrity, that has a moat protecting it, that has a competitive advantage.
The moat.
You can buy it. You can buy it at a price that's reasonable, where it's an investment and not a gamble, and that you actually have knowledge in that industry. You know what you're actually investing in. Then yeah, why not? Why would you get rid of it? There's no reason to get rid of it, even if it's not paying a dividend. If it's growing and compounding your money, why would you get rid of a great investment when you could keep it forever? That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think getting into the mindset of most angels, that would work if there's not a ton of upside on the deal. So most angels want to be in and out in 5 to 8 years. they want to buy part of your business, they want to hyperscale it, then you go for VC funding, then you get acquired, or then you go public. Or you might even get acquired before going for VC funding. And so the types of companies they look for is high growth, high margins, software, technology, you know, medical, all that kind of stuff, where they can make a lot of money, get in and get out. So that's why I was talking about in our last live stream, you know, Kevin O'Leary and his royalty scheme. Most people don't do royalties because they're investing in the upside of the business. Now, if you don't have that possibility, like nobody's going to buy you, it's not a crazy high profit margin business, there's no way you're going to go public with your company, then you could look at creating some kind of deal where they're getting paid off of a piece of the company, right? Like they're taking dividends out, they're getting some kind of you know, fee every month. Like people want to get their money back. So how are they going to get the money back? If they don't see any path for you to eventually sell your business, they're worried that they've just put money in, and it's great that the company grows, but like, how am I going to get my money back is what's going to be on their mind.
When it comes to venture capital, like more and more companies aren't going public anymore. So is that affecting anything in terms of, because I'm not that familiar with venture capital. I know a lot about public. But when it comes to private, because I know it's just like the ratio of companies going public are so little these days that like how do they get their money out? Like, is that a thing that's really concerning people anymore?
There's just a lot more funding options. But if you're going to go, the bar to go public has gone up in terms of how much money you want to raise.
Yeah.
So the companies that will go public are the guys needing like hundreds of millions of dollars. They need tons of money, and so the only way to get that is public markets, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, they might go to crowdfund it. They might not even need as much money because they're doing, you know, they're keeping their costs low. You can start a business without having as much money. Oh, they surrendered. Somebody didn't show up. All right.
Does that mean a second win?
Nah, not really. Somebody didn't show up.
I gotta stop distracting you.
It's a start over. That's too bad. I was doing well. I got the only kill in the game. Come on, guys. That's sad days. So there's so many more options. It used to be that if you needed any kind of money, that was the only way to do it. Now there's angel investors. Now there's private equity. Now maybe you just go to Warren Buffett and he buys into your business, and it never gets to the public market because he's just investing into a family company, right? There's so many more options. So it's really only the companies that need either are desperate and it's their only path, and they hit some small stock market and they, you know, have some shell company and it's just a scheme to get some funding, or they're going for just big mega bucks.
Right. All right. Cool. All right. What traits do top successful YouTubers have in common? That's a good question.
All right.
I'll give.
Jeremy works with a whole bunch of them. So, what do they have in common, Jeremy?
I'll give two
Okay.
Two top ones. Okay. Number one is they go into YouTube making it as a business and focused on the branding. Who are you trying to attract? Who's your audience? They're very focused when it comes to that specific targeting, branding, business strategy. So it's a business, not someone who's just trying to set up something for the sake of setting something up, which is like, unfortunately, most people are doing. They think of it as a business afterwards when you should be planning ahead of time. The second thing, so they have that focus. The other thing is really persistence. They're persistent in the posting, the frequency of posting. They know it's a marathon, not a sprint when it comes to YouTube, and that YouTube is the long game. It's the winning game, the only platform where your content lives forever. So they're really making it a top priority and treating everything else, Instagram, all these other, you know, short-term media places, as the number 2 spot. So focus, persistency. That's
I like it. YouTube is the long game. It's the winning game. Look at that.
Winning game.
Wow. That's some content for Jeremy's IG. Stay tuned. Stuff is coming. I agree. I would add, what would I add? I would add the willingness to seek out guidance and ask for help. like even the guys Jeremy's working with, they are great at making their videos, but they don't know everything. Like they're not looking at their data, they're not looking at their analytics, they're not paying attention to click-through rate and their audience retention, and they don't know all the mechanics necessarily of how YouTube works. And so they're willing to listen to somebody who's going to get them results, right? Thinking you know everything is a recipe for failure. And so the willingness to go and ask people for help and say, hey, I've had success, but I want to have more success. Like, help me double my channel. Can you do that? Great, you're hired.
Very true. I like that one too. Should have gone with 3.
Teamwork, Jeremy, teamwork.
In terms of what I do, basically YouTube consulting, applying the strategies that got Evan to 2 million and give them to our clients. That's the goal. Someone was asking what I do specifically. All right, here's a question. How do you know when an idea for a business is truly a business or just a place for people to come for service? Not entirely sure about that question. If an idea is business is truly a business, if your idea is for business is truly a business, or just a place for people to come for service?
Yeah, I'm not really following that one either. Give us more context.
Yeah. If you write it down below, we'll come back to it if you update us on what.
If Jeremy wants to, watch out. Sometimes he's mean, and he'll see it, and he won't respond to you. So
I have all the control. All right. So someone's asking, okay, so if the angel investor owns 20% of the company,
okay,
they would earn that percentage off of profits every quarter, or however the pay structure is agreed upon.
Yeah, possibly. Percentage of profits is rough because if you're a growing business, there aren't a lot of profits. If it's a stable, ongoing thing, if you get into real estate or something and it's just, you know what it's going to be every year, there's a slight growth, then it can work. But for most startups, you don't want to be giving up a lot of cash flow at the beginning, and there are no profits. So great, 20% of profits, but if you're constantly growing, there's no profits, they're not getting paid. So it depends on how patient they are with it, right? Most angels, again, they want to be in and out 5 to 8 years. If they see you as a ongoing kind of annuity where they're getting paid every year a certain amount, then you have to be in a business that can throw that off, that you don't need to keep reinvesting back into the business to keep it growing. They probably wouldn't want to do profit though, percentage profit, because it's too easy to, like, you could just increase your salary and then there's no profit, right? Like, you can always design it so that there's no profit in the business. So usually there'd be some stipulation, some rules around it. Possible, but typically not in a high growth business. So how much growth is there going to be in your company? If it's a lot, that's not the deal to go for.
All right. How to influence people around you. Interesting one. Take 2 different stances on this. So you can read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? It will help you communication, learn little strategies and whatnot in terms of speaking with people. But if you're talking about like how to change someone's mindset, I don't think you can really. Like, yeah, you could hang around them. Like, man, this is difficult because if you are in an area where you want to help people with their mindset, you want to help them achieve greater things, and they're holding themselves back, you can't give someone the motivation to change or the willpower. They have to find it on themselves. You could give a spark of inspiration, but they have to go down a path on their own. So depending on your circumstance, like, man, this is a hard one because it's like, Evan, I need to ask you this. So when it comes to family, you can't change them, but they're always going to be in your life. Whereas friends, maybe it's time you get rid of them.
So this is the ongoing struggle for anybody who ever gets into personal development, because as soon as you learn something and you start growing and you start getting results, it's natural for you to want to help the people around you who are you see struggling. And for you, the solution is so clear. It's like, if you just did this, your whole life could change. But the person has to be ready, which is the challenge, right? Trying to force something down on your parents who don't care about this stuff is if only going to alienate you, right? It's like, oh man, there's Evan being crazy again. There's Jeremy being crazy again, right? So the starting point is actually empathy. It's understanding that they're not ready, and that's okay for now. They're on their path, and not getting frustrated, because the more frustrated you get, the less they're going to actually respond to you. So that's the starting point. Next, you're shining a constant light. This should be your goal. Shine a constant light. Like, you go off by you doing your thing, they're paying attention. Don't rub it in their face. Don't show them how stupid they are or dumb they are, right? You're supportive, and you're off living your life. And here's what's going to happen. At some point, they're going to see what you're doing, and they're going to say, how do you do that? They're going to have a moment of weakness. They're going to have a moment of weakness, and that's where you strike. Most people don't have enough patience or understanding. Most people want it to happen too quickly for other people, and they end up just alienating them instead of actually doing something.
Do you believe we are the 5 people we spend the most time with?
A version of that. I just don't think it has to be people, right? Like, you can get it from books, you can get it from videos, you can get it from podcasts, you can get it from... You can get it from what?
Timo.
Timo? My dog or the computer game?
Your dog.
My dog. Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I have a very, very affectionate dog named Tristana, who always wants to be on your lap and give love. Like, if you're around a really loving dog, you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna become more loving. It's gonna happen. I believe that. So, yes, I would say more your environment than the people. People are part of the environment, but the books and the music and the clubs you go to, all of that stuff has an impact on you.
All right. How to stop overthinking and get up and do it. Pretty much, I think you pretty much answered it. There is no other solution. You just do it. But if you're overthinking something, you need to. It comes. I don't know. Most things come back to the why. So why, whatever you're thinking of overthinking of doing, okay, why do you really need to do it? If your mind is getting in the way of things, if you're unsure, do you actually really want to do that thing? Because if you're not starting it, well, then you probably don't want to do it. If you really want to do it, you would go build momentum to the thing you actually wanted to do in the first place. If you like the vision of it, then you're just going to keep thinking and dreaming and keep planning, because that's the fun stuff. Whereas doing it, maybe it's not so much fun. Maybe actually putting in the work isn't something in the dream you thought was possible. And don't worry, I relate to that. So don't worry. But stop overthinking and just do it if you really want to do it. So some subtle hints there.
I like it. Why? Super important. I would add have a greater sense of urgency. A lot of it is you think you've got time. You can do it tomorrow. You can do it next week. You can do it next month. Force more regret on yourself. Imagine yourself being 95 and looking back. This is what I used to do all the time. Was I would imagine, if I was afraid to do something, I would look back at, imagine myself being 95, looking back and say, man, that IG Live with Jeremy, that was going to be the thing that would blow everything up for me. That was going to be the call that everything changed, and I was too afraid to get on that IG Live with Jeremy, right? Like, that's how big I would play it up, and it forced me to do the scary thing, because you're afraid of it. It's fine. It's fine to be afraid of it, but what's not fine is to not take action because you're afraid of it. So I would use the fear of regret. I haven't done that though in the past, like maybe 2 or 3 years. and I recognize this on a podcast I was doing with Mark Drager, friend of the channel. I realize now it's more, if I'm afraid of something, I do it just because. Almost regardless of the why. Just because. Evan Carmichael does difficult things, period.
But you've based yourself as your identity around that.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the healthiest things that you can do in your life, is to base your identity around doing difficult things, that you do difficult things. And that's awesome. And that's something being like scary, difficult, hard. If I say those words, then I have to do the next thing. Whatever comes after it, I have to go off and do it. Just because I said it was scary, difficult, or hard. I'm not allowed to say those things and then not take action. I'm allowed to be scared. I think being scared is fantastic. It means you're in the right spot. But being scared and then not stepping up is not acceptable. So that's shortcuts, because the regret is a thought exercise. You have to sit there and think, okay, I'm going to regret this in 20 years if I don't go off and do it. You have to be able to catch it. A lot of times you won't catch it, and then just play small by default. So the scary, difficult, hard, or like the boom, boom, boom heartbeat test, when your heart's beating, you're afraid, that means you have to go do it. Shortcuts your path, and if you can use that to force you into action, it's a super valuable tool.
All right. How do you balance willpower and biological needs like sleep and nutrition? So when you're talking about balancing willpower and sleep and biological needs like sleep and nutrition, are you saying willpower in terms of staying up overnight to watch Netflix or something like that, versus going to bed at a reasonable time? It's just when it comes to balancing that out, it's establishing your priorities. So what are your top priorities in life? And are the actions you're taking on a day-to-day basis leading you to where you wish to go? Leading you to the goals that you want to achieve one day? And if you're watching Netflix till 1 a.m. and not prioritizing your sleep like you should to have the energy the next day to execute on the things that you know you need to be doing to build momentum to the goals you actually want to achieve, well, then maybe you need to sit back and start establishing the priorities. Do you really want to focus on those things? And maybe start establishing accountability for those things. So putting accountability metrics so that you're not staying up till 1 a.m. Like, why do you need to execute and have the energy and prioritize sleep for tomorrow's success? Is it because maybe you need to get out of a tough situation in your life? Maybe you need to make more money so you can pay the bills for the kids, establish accountability metrics. It's just a decision. You're not having to weigh what option should you do. It just becomes a clear, decisive action through the accountability you take. I guess that's the way I'd go.
The sleep one is always so interesting because people, I think, will see the books like the 5 a.m. rule or whatever that one, Robin Sharma, which is great, and all these other guys, like people who got to beat the sun up, and you see all these high performers talking about getting up and grinding and doing work, and it makes you feel like I want to go off and do that too, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 4 a.m. and get to work. The problem, though, for most people isn't the fact that they're not waking up early enough. The problem is they're not productive during the day. So if you're not productive, if you sleep 8 hours, great. If you're not productive for the 16 hours that you are awake, what makes you think that now you're going to be productive because you got 17 hours in and now you're sleep deprived? Right? So I think before you worry about giving up sleep, focus on what the heck are you doing while you're awake. And that's where most people fall down. In a micro situation where it's a one-off, I like to force myself to do things. I like to do difficult things. So if I promised I was going to do something, if I promised I was going to help Jeremy with something, but I'm dead tired, exhausted, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back for doing it. I'm gonna tell myself I'm awesome. But if that's happening every day, then your life is broken and you need to fix it. So in the one-off, you're going to have these moments. So that's the willpower that come through and say, I'm going to do this thing. But if it's every single day that you're forcing yourself to do it, and your body starts breaking down, then something is broken in your life, and that's what you need to fix. But I think for the most part, people just aren't productive enough during the day, and they're blaming sleep as the culprit. Sleep's not the problem. You're not prioritizing your time.
And the irony is, if you crush it through the day, you'll just want to clock out anyways earlier.
Yeah, like people throw away so much of the day, and then they try to rush so much in at night, and then they've got no energy to do it. Like, well, you had an entire day. What were you doing? Even if you're working at some job, don't tell me you were crushing it all day at the job. Don't tell me there wasn't an hour you could have spent doing the thing that you want to do. Like, let's step into your life and do an actual audit of how you're spending your time, and you're going to tell me that you're being every single second of every day is being massively prioritized. You're doing the exact thing that you should be doing. There's no way. I'm not even doing that. So get to sleep. You need sleep.
All right. How can you become successful? Well, you learn, you look at the people who are where you want to be, who are crushing it, who are achieving the goals that you aspire for, and then you model them. You look at what habits are making them so successful, because it's probably not random. The more successful people you study, the more you find out that they have a common attribute, skill sets, and mindsets that allow them to be so successful. So it's not luck. It's really just a roadmap. So a great way to kind of kickstart that is to start applying the skill sets maybe you learned from Top 10 Rules to Success. Evan's channel, right? Perfect roadmap.
It's a good channel.
It's a good channel.
I'm a fan.
And so all that's required is you have the roadmap. People know how to become wealthy and all this stuff. And, you know, I'm early on my journey and I'm just trying to follow the roadmap, but you know the roadmap is there. The thing is, okay, it's simple, but it's not easy. So then to aspire for whatever you want to do you want to actually follow that roadmap? And that's going to come down to how you'll become successful or you won't, and how you'll pivot.
Yeah, I honestly think a lot of it is just consistency. People don't want to do the difficult thing for too long. And so that's where, if you are around it more often, to Jeremy's point, if you're watching a video every day, right? If you're learning every day, if you're improving every day, if you're hanging around people who are better than you every day, it's going to force you to get better. Like, there's no option. You're just going to get better. Most people don't have that in their life. Most people don't have people who, for most people who are sitting here watching this live or on the replay, you're the most ambitious person that you know. You're the most ambitious person in your family. You're the most ambitious person in your friends. You're the one lifting other people up. So other people will look at you and say, man, look at how well you're doing. But who's picking you up to say, no, you should be doing better? And so we need to create that environment for ourselves. For me, it's my own channel. My own channel inspires me, right? I love watching my own videos. It makes me happy. For you, it might be something totally different. But getting the thing that makes you feel bold, powerful, confident, alive, having a circle, even if the circle is just aspirational mentors that you find in books and in videos, every single day, a little bit of that every single day, it'll shift the way you think and move you from a place, even looking at Jeremy, moving you from a place of just not liking your life and complaining and like not wanting to be at school, and to then actually making a change. Most people just get stuck. Like, most people don't make it out of the Jeremy predicament. Most people just complain and they stay stuck forever. They don't make the change, right?
Yeah.
So being around, here's the thing, like, for successful people, complainers is the worst. Like, it's the worst being around people who are just complaining and toxic and negative. It's the worst. It's the worst feeling ever. Nobody who's successful wants to be around people who are just sitting there complaining.
And this also kind of ties into the next question someone asked. Is like, what do you do to remain focused? And it talks about, like, you're talking about being around successful people. And one of those is just like the accountability metric is just huge. When you're hanging around people who lift you up, and who are saying what you said about, okay, what are you doing now next to level up your life, to build momentum.
Yeah,
So,
you need to have a kick, and this is where people say don't compare yourself to other people. I think it's actually great to compare yourself to other people, as long as you use it as a kick forward. Most people use it as a kick down. So you need to have the kick, otherwise you stay where you are. So what's going to kick you forward? What's going to make you feel like you want to do something more in your life, that where you're at right now isn't enough, that you're capable of doing more? And a lot of people get that. It's just not consistent. That's the problem. Like you'll watch one video or go to one event and get all jazzed up, but then fall back down to normal because you weren't consistent in getting that feeling every day. So what's the thing that makes you feel focused, that makes you feel bold and powerful and confident and alive? And then having that every day as a part of what you're doing.
Love that.
All right.
No, yeah.
Good.
No, this is awesome.
We're losing, Jeremy, this game very badly.
Okay.
Yeah, very badly.
All right, no more questions. All right, we got to let Evan win. All right, I got to be top number one out of Mark and Alex. Got to keep them focused. But no, keep putting in questions. So the next one is, what is the best book you recommend about thinking different, forgetting the past, and trying to look towards the future? Built to Serve, coming out March 17th.
Oh, look at that. Okay, you're already crushing Alex. This is great.
Nice plug in there. Evan's book. But two ones that are currently out that you can check out.
Oh, that's a nice caveat. Okay.
Would be, I guess, the general one where you hear a lot of people talk about, which Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have the growth mindset, you have the fixed mindset. If you're talking about thinking different, then what a perfect book to, you know, a beginner book to really just learn about, okay, how do you think correctly, know that you can achieve what you actually want to do, and that, you know, your mind is malleable, you can grow as a person. But in terms of forgetting the past, I would recommend Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn, because I don't think you should forget about the past. I think
Who wrote that?
Polo Power 615.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking something else.
I don't think you should be forgetting about the past. You should learn from the past, whether it's through pain that you've experienced or a failure you've had. Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn by John Maxwell could be a great book to learn from the past, not forget about it, and look towards the future on how you can improve your life. So those would be my recommendations. Nice.
So first off, a quick throwback to yesterday. Somebody wrote in and asked, what book should I read? And Alex said How to Win Friends and Influence People with no comment about Built to Serve. So Jeremy's already ahead of the game. And Alex is in Built to Serve, and he's got his picture in Built to Serve. That was more of just a fun moment. But what I liked about this was they were specific, because the question yesterday was just, what book should I read? Like, I don't know. There's tons of books. Like, what are you struggling with? Like, if you ask a really generic question, you're going to get a poor answer. It's not going to serve you. So here, the person asked, what book should I read to help me overcome my mindset or whatever? It was like shift, ask 3 parts of that question, which allows for a more specific answer. For me, besides Built to Serve, there's also Your One Word, which is out. And you can pick up, which is amazing. But besides that, we lost. We lost, Jeremy. We lost. Unbelievable. Besides that, I don't really learn. So Jeremy and I are very opposite in that Jeremy learns through books. I don't really learn through books. I read 3 to 4 books a year. Jeremy reads 3 to 4 books a day. So that's the difference. So I don't have a book recommendation for you on that. I would go and look. If I was struggling with that, I would go look at videos, because I'm a visual learner. All right. We got one more. We're going to end it here. We're going to start again in 5 seconds. Come on back. Bring your questions. One more game, one more IG Live. We see if Jeremy ends up on the positive or the negative of win-loss ratio. So we'll see you soon. Much love.